we witnessed a furious revolution where Princess Mia was apprehended. 3 years later, in a cold dungeon cell, she writes in her diary while enduring abuse from the guards. They feed her with rotten vegetables and breadcrumbs, telling her that it will be her last supper before the public execution. Mia wondered how her own people had turned against her. Finally, amidst the bloodthirsty screams of the crowd, the guillotine fell, ending her life. But then she woke up, realizing she had gone back in time 8 years, to when she was just 12 years old before her sentencing. Thus began the story of the Tearmoon Empire. Upon waking, Mia thought it had all been a horrible nightmare. However, she found her diary stained with blood, describing everything that would happen to her in that other timeline. Clinging to the idea that it was a frightening dream, she went down to the dining room and recognized the chef she had fired 2 years prior for serving bitter vegetables. When tasting his food, she was surprised by the flavor, despite them being the same vegetables she had hated as a child and had to eat rotten in her cell. She cried with joy at having good food again, thanking the staff, which left them stunned since she did not usually behave this way. Before, she would only think of herself and mistreat the servants. The chef said it was nothing, just a modest stew that took him 3 days to prepare, as he had to ensure the health of the royal family. He also made her realize that a royal snack equaled a commoner's monthly wages, which brought back vague memories of someone with glasses. As she tried to remember who this person was, Mia asked for sweets, and a novice maid named Anne arrived with a large cake but tripped over. Incredibly, Mia kept her calm and kindly asked her to bring another dessert, but was informed that was the last one left. About to burst out in anger, she recognized Anne as the mysterious girl who had visited her in her cell before the execution. Despite the constant abuse Mia had inflicted on Anne as a servant, Anne kept visiting and caring for her in prison, unlike the rest of the staff who had abandoned her. Anne told her that it did not matter and stayed by her side because she could not leave her alone. As time ran out during her last visit, with her bloody diary in hand, Mia set aside her position as princess. In tears, she bowed before Anne and apologized for not being able to compensate for her kindness and devotion. Anne forgave her, promising to pray for her after the execution. Back to the present, Mia kneels down and instead of yelling at her, kindly asks Anne if she is okay, to appoint her as her handmaiden to compensate for her goodness. The other servants warn that Anne is clumsy for being a novice, but Mia does not care about the murmurs and decides to keep her by her side. After all that has happened, Mia confirms that her previous life wasn't a nightmare and starts reading her diary, discovering what will happen over the next 8 years leading up to the guillotine. Anne notices her strange behavior and asks if she can help her with something. Mia gave her a shiny gold coin and, in an unprecedented gesture of generosity, asked her to buy some popular sweets from town that would bring back nostalgic memories of a more innocent time. She told her it was too much money, mentioning that the gleaming coin could easily match 2 whole miserable months of a maid's salary. Then Mia tells her to keep the change and buy something nice for her family. Upon reviewing future events, Mia reads that the Empire's finances will deteriorate little by little. Additionally, she learns that a famine will trigger a revolution involving other nations. She remembers when she told the people that if they lacked bread, they should eat cake. But locked in her bubble of privilege, she didn't know what was happening. Now at 12 years old, she will do everything to avoid the guillotine, even if she doesn't know about politics or economics. She goes to the Golden Moon Ministry, responsible for the taxes. She seeks out Ludwig, a subordinate tax official who in the future worked to stabilize finances during the crisis. He only tried to solve the economic problems of the empire and scolded her for the money she spent on her luxuries, to later tell her indignantly that she should do something more worthy of a princess. Seeing him now, she wants to make him pay for such humiliation. Mia notes that Ludwig is about to be sent to the provinces and must prevent it because by the time he returns, the economy will be beyond recovery. She intervenes by telling him that with his help, she wants to straighten the kingdom's finances. As expected, Ludwig asks her if she is aware of what she spends on meals, but she shocks him by answering yes and giving him an advanced economics lesson with the knowledge he gave her in her past life. This backfires, as Ludwig now does not feel in a position to help her after seeing she already knows everything. But Mia convinces him by saying that as a young princess, she won't be taken seriously, thus securing his support. This brings back a memory of when she was imprisoned and Ludwig visited her. Melancholy, he told her that despite the bad times together, he wouldn't remember her with resentment. Mia thus secures another great ally, managing to rewrite her future diary, although she is still slated for the guillotine. With plenty of time ahead, she will first focus on the future epidemic in the slums. For this, she will consult Ludwig again. Anne fantasized that Mia was interested in him after seeing him kneel, so she dressed her in her best outfit and an accessory that a wealthy merchant had given her. Fully ready, they went to the poor neighborhood, which not even the middle class visited. Everyone was disgusted by the smell, except Mia, who was accustomed to the stench of her cell. They found a child dying of starvation, a common sight in that area. In Mia's diary, it was written that due to the epidemic, 10% of the city's population would be lost, affecting the fragile economic stability. Mia asked for possible solutions to the probable outbreak, but Ludwig was shocked, not having foreseen an epidemic, and focused only on the economy. Fascinated by Mia's prediction, he wondered if she was a messenger from the gods. After getting the child to safety, they concluded that they would first distribute food and then build hospitals, although a lot of money was needed. In an act of kindness, Mia decided to sell her accessory to contribute, becoming a saint, although she knew it would be stolen from her in a few years. Upon learning of the princess's solidarity, Ludwig managed to get the nobles to cooperate as well, thus initiating the construction of a large hospital. Days later, Anne brought sweets to Mia and informed her that she was now hailed as the goddess of the people for her role in establishing the hospital. Anne shared that her younger sister, Elise, who had fragile health, loved writing stories. Mia, while listening to one of these stories, realized it was the same one Anne had told her during her visits to the dungeon. But it was unfinished because the author had passed away. Shocked by this discovery, Mia offered Elise the position of being her personal author. However, Elise rejected the offer. Incredulous that Mia had read her entire story in mere seconds and denouncing it as nepotism. To prove her claim, Mia accurately described parts of the story that Elise hadn't written yet. Caught off guard, Mia saved the situation by claiming she could predict the future, thereby gaining another admirer. Days later, Mia enrolled in an exclusive academy for nobles, intending to distance herself from two individuals who posed a threat to her safety. Prince Sion, the first successor to the neighboring kingdom, who held socio-economic power comparable to hers. Prince Sion, renowned for his striking looks, was desired by all the girls in the empire, including Mia. The other individual Mia sought to avoid was Tiona, a daughter of low-ranking nobles from the south, whose territory lay outside the Mia Empire. In a previous timeline, Mia had harassed Tiona for monopolizing Prince Sion's attention, a behavior that later motivated Tiona to become a voice of the revolution alongside him, eventually leading to Mia's execution by guillotine. Remembering this, Mia deliberately avoided any interaction with both of them in an effort to change her future. However, when some girls began intimidating Tiona for accidentally bumping into them, Mia, recognizing Tiona from afar, initially chose to ignore the situation. Yet under Anne's expectant gaze, wondering how Mia would handle it, Mia intervened. She introduced herself as the first imperial princess and demanded that they stop bothering Tiona, asserting that her protection extended to all subjects of the empire, including the poorest. Intimidated by Mia's authority, the girls quickly dispersed. Far from being offended, Tiona burst into tears, explaining that her family had never been acknowledged as subjects of the empire, nor had they enjoyed its protection. This lack of recognition was what had driven her to strive for admission into the prestigious academy, only to face harassment on her very first day. Mia offered Tiona her handkerchief to dry her tears before departing. Prince Sion, who had witnessed the entire scene, was left with a profound impression, realizing that Mia was quite different from the rumors of her arrogance. While bathing, Anne washed Mia, a gesture that made Mia immensely happy after enduring years of weekly cold bucket baths in her cell. In gratitude, Mia decided to reciprocate by bathing Anne, an uncommon practice for a princess. However, Anne had been a constant support during Mia's 3 years in prison, even to the point of dressing her, so Mia felt it was the least she could do. During this time, Rafina, the daughter of the Duke hosting them, appeared unexpectedly. In the previous timeline, she was the president of the student council. Mia had previously tried to win over Rafina for her influence, but only succeeded in becoming an annoyance to her. This time, however, Rafina approached Mia by name and invited her to join her and her servant for a bath. While they were bathing, Rafina brought up the topic of the welcome dance. In the other timeline, Mia had been humiliated at this event, expecting Prince Sion to dance with her, only to be left alone when he chose Tiona instead. Determined not to repeat the previous dance's humiliation and to make as many contacts as possible to avoid isolation in the event of a revolution, Mia saw the upcoming dance as an ideal opportunity. She sought Anne's advice on how to navigate the event. The next day, Mia began to follow Prince Abil, the second heir to the powerful military kingdom of Remno. She thought it would be easy to win his affections since he was not the primary successor. Employing the tactic of dropping her handkerchief to gain his attention, she was disappointed when he ignored it, reminding her of his reputation as a womanizer. Surprisingly, Prince Sion picked up the handkerchief and asked Mia to be his dance partner. However, aware that any involvement with him could be dangerous, Mia fled the scene, only to witness Abil being scolded and beaten by his brother for his neglect of fencing and his frivolous pursuit of women. Declaring that Abil would never attract a respectable woman, Mia intervened in the confrontation by mockingly dismissing the supposed intimidation. She introduced herself as the powerful imperial princess, demanding greater respect for her dance partner. At that moment, Prince Sion arrived, and Mia seized the opportunity to decline his dance invitation, leaving the scene with a sense of victory. Shortly after, Abil approached her, implying that she was neither at Sion's nor his brother's level. However, Mia advised him that if he felt unworthy, he should strive to improve and even surpass them. She pointed out that while he might not be their equal today, there was always tomorrow. Abil had always felt inferior due to his lack of guaranteed royalty or talent, but for the first time someone believed in him, Mia. This encounter would change his story. It seemed romantic, but Mia's motivation was calculated. She believed that by encouraging Abil, it would decrease the likelihood of Remno sending reinforcements in a potential future revolution. On the night of the dance, while everyone was enjoying themselves in the hall, Abil started to doubt whether Mia would attend. Earlier, Mia had been excitedly preparing, but when she went to stroke a horse, it sneezed on her, ruining her dress with its reaction to her strong perfume. Consequently, Mia decided to skip the dance. However, Anne was determined not to let her mistress end the night this way. After a dramatic transformation, Mia made a stunning entrance at the dance in a beautiful, less voluminous white dress, instantly capturing everyone's attention. The boys were charmed and the girls envious. A bit embarrassed, Mia accepted Prince Abil's hand for a dance. During their dance, Mia gracefully led her partner, but Abil overheard hurtful remarks about Mia. Believing himself unworthy, he handed her over to Prince Sion to showcase Mia's true capabilities. Internally, Mia felt devastated by Abil's action, but she resolved to make the best of it. Despite her anger towards Sion from her past life and her plan to make him trip during the dance, she underestimated his skills. The dance turned into a spectacular performance, unbeknownst to her. Meanwhile, Anne, wandering around the city and pondering how to spend the money Mia had given her for the dress, accidentally bumped into Tiona's maidservant. The servant, in a panic, asked for help, revealing that her mistress had been kidnapped. Anne decided to assist and climbed to the top of a mysterious tower, though unsure how to confront the guards waiting there. Keatwood joined Anne and Tiona, having noticed them rushing earlier and following out of curiosity. He effortlessly knocked out the guards and rescued Tiona. She explained that earlier, while preparing for the ball, she found a note claiming her dress was stolen and luring her to this location. Keatwood deduced that someone linked to Mia or the Empire was involved, as one of the guards possessed a handkerchief bearing the Tearmoon Empire's logo, indicating that imperial nobles might have hired them. Unable to afford a new dress, Tiona found help in Anne, who kindly used her money to buy Tiona a last-minute dress, something Anne believed Mia would have also done. After finishing her dance with Sion, Mia informed him that a more suitable partner awaited him that night. Right then, Tiona arrived at the ball and handed Sion a note from Keatwood detailing the events. Sion harbored doubts about Mia's involvement. Meanwhile, Mia rejoined Abil, and they both relaxed and enjoyed the ball. Later, Anne informed Mia about the incident, distressing her as it could lead to Sion and Tiona's animosity, possibly resulting in her execution. Without delay, Mia identified the culprits and warned them that while they might be immune in the Tearmoon Empire, Princess Rafina would not tolerate their actions here and could expel them from the academy. Mia offered to negotiate with Rafina on their behalf. Rafina was initially upset about the incident, but Mia's offhand remark about tomatoes surprisingly resonated with her, leading to a lenient punishment for the perpetrators. Rafina even expressed a desire to befriend Mia. A few days later, Mia noticed a new girl, Chloe, who seemed lonely and immersed in books. Mia approached her and offered friendship, which Chloe initially doubted, thinking it was out of pity. However, Mia, intrigued by Chloe's interest in books, shared Elise's manuscript with her, forging an unlikely friendship. Mia also contemplated joining the riding club to learn horse riding as a means of escape in case of a revolution. There, she met the club president, Lin. Lin joked about Mia joining to order the execution of the horse that ruined her dress. Mia responded, valuing the horse for its ability to carry her far away from potential revolutionaries. Abil, also a club member, was tasked by Lin to teach Mia the basics of riding. Mia attempted to maintain a composed demeanor, but quickly became nervous about the height of the horse. Abil reassured her, encouraging her to open her eyes and enjoy the ride. This led to an awkward but intimate moment when they both fell from the horse, with Mia landing on top of Abil, leaving her blushing. With the Academy's fencing tournament approaching, Anne mentioned the tradition of girls preparing lunchboxes for the boys they liked. Mia, recalling her past rejection by Sion, decided to make a lunchbox for Abil. During their next ride, she asked Abil if she could prepare his lunch for the tournament, and he agreed enthusiastically. However, Mia faced a challenge. She didn't know how to cook. Seeking help, she turned to Chloe, who had only read about cooking. Anne then brought Tiona into the mix, who was skilled only in cutting but wanted to prepare food for Sion.